The fight over whether Karmelo Anthony should get a new trial is now in its second day. His new defense team claims there were serious problems in his original murder trial based on information that both sides at the time agreed to withhold from the jury. Prosecutors argue the trial was fair and the verdict should stand. Fox 4's Lori Brown live tonight outside the Collin County Courthouse where closing arguments are underway. Lori.
Steve, after 2 days of attorneys analyzing Karmelo Anthony's trial, experts say there are some things that stand out. One of the big ones is that the prosecution required defense attorneys to hand over their questions for cross-examination before the witness was on the stand. This all goes back to the gentleman's agreement to keep the character of both teens out of the trial. Now the question is, did that agreement come at the cost of a fair trial? Board-certified criminal defense attorney Jeremy Rosenthal explained that there are already many rules in place to govern trials, but in this case, attorneys decided to come up with their own rules and micromanage things. Rosenthal told us a verbal agreement can be a recipe for disaster, but it will be up to the judge to determine if it is grounds for a new trial.
We learned that the prosecution was allowed to review some of the questions that were asked to Karmelo Anthony's parents, mother, before she testified. That's a pretty high degree of invasiveness. I don't know if that's how this agreement was intended to be started, but I could definitely see some judges up the chain looking at this and having a lot of concern.
This morning, the co-counsel for Karmelo Anthony, Toby Shook, took the stand for 2 hours. He testified about how the prosecutor, Bill Werski, was his former law partner and a friend going back to 1994, but the agreement between friends degraded into a massive disagreement and a shouting match between the two sides after prosecutor Bill Werski argued that he had not contemplated Karmelo Anthony testifying as part of the agreement. Anthony ended up deciding not to testify out of concern that Werski would break his deal to not get into character issues.
There's a lot of really unique challenges to this case that have been identified by both of the parties, and I think they both did their very best to try to manicure the risk and in some instances to micromanage this case. The question is whether they got too cute, and if they did, we're going to do this all again.
A spokesperson said that the judge will not be issuing a ruling from the bench. He will be filing that ruling electronically, and we expect to get that in the coming days. Steve.
Okay, Lori. Question here. We know at the time we reported it was Karmelo Anthony who made the decision not to testify. Do we know what his attorneys advised him about that?
Well, Bill Werski asked Toby Shook, Karmelo Anthony's attorney at that time, that question, and his new defense attorney, Russell Wilson, objected on the grounds of attorney-client privilege. The judge sustained it, so Toby Shook did not have to reveal that. However, Werski also put in some language that might lead us to believe that Toby Shook would have taken that route, saying, you know that I relish cross-examining witnesses, and Toby Shook replied that, yes, he does know that. So it does seem like the attorneys have revealed that there was concern about Werski on cross-examination.
All right, got it. All right, Lori Brown outside the courthouse. Do we expect a verdict or something tonight, or will it likely go next week?
I think it's going to be sometime, maybe this weekend or Monday, but there is a deadline that's approaching, so I don't think it's going to drag out too long, but I don't expect a ruling tonight. I think for safety reasons, perhaps the judge is delaying that ruling.
Okay. All right. Lori, thank you. To follow more of today's developments and get updates on tomorrow's proceedings, scan the QR code on your screen. You can also go to our Fox Local app. It's free in your app store, or go to our website anytime, fox4news.com.